The views expressed are solely those of the speaker and not necessarily those of Paltalk.com, AVM Software, or its advertisers.
News Talk is online. News Talk Online is a production of Paltalk.com, the largest multimedia interactive program on the internet with more than 4 million unique users on demand on iTunes and on YouTube and on my site, GaryBaumgarten.com, where you are welcome to comment on my comments, whether you agree with the author or not. And thanks to our good friends at CRN Digital Talk Radio. We are syndicated coast to coast across the United States of America into 12 million additional households. I'm your host, Gary Baumgarten. Our guest today, you've seen her on cable television many times, I'm sure, is Maria Teresa Peterson. She is the executive director and the co-founder, along with actress Rosario Dawson, of an organization called Voto Latino, which is the only national civic education organization targeting Latino American youth. They work with media partners such as MTV to get the youth vote out. Last year, they reached, through its voter PSA campaigns, about 55 million young people. Named one of the top 60 Latina women in government and politics across the United States by Hispanic magazine, Maria Teresa Peterson brings 10 years of experience in government, business, and the nonprofit sectors to the table. And we welcome you, Maria Teresa Peterson, to News Talk Online on Paltalk.com.
Well, thank you so much, Gary. I think that was the most welcome I've ever received as far as my bios. I'm blushing now, so thank you for that.
You're more than welcome. For the uninitiated, can you give us a thumbnail sketch of what Voto Latino is really about?
Yeah, we basically are a voter engagement organization trying to get Latinos to recognize that they're American, far and foremost. So we do everything from voter registration efforts on MySpace online to doing on the grassroots, making sure that voting is fun and engaging. And so far we've been highly successful. The last PSA campaign that we did in January received over 183 million impressions, and we were able to register to vote only on our site alone over 25,000 kids just on our site alone, not including our other on-the-ground stuff. So we've been thrilled. And again, it's a matter of bringing in all these different professionals. We just did a iTunes compilation of different artists who donated their songs, and in less than 3 hours, the iTunes compilation went up to #1. So we were completely thrilled to have all these different folks involved in the campaign.
One of the initiatives that you have going is in conjunction with C Television, CTV, S-I, not C, C as in yes, where you are trying to inspire young Hispanic voters to engage in the political process, and you're actually given, I presume mainly teenagers, the opportunity to become a correspondent for CTV at the political conventions?
Yeah, exactly, Gary. So what we've done is that Voto Latino, what we recognize is that because a lot of the young people that are enfranchising themselves into the democratic process for the very first time are first-generation immigrants. So there's a lot of teaching that needs to take place. So what better way than to identify 2 young people to crash the parties? That's the name of the contest, where, again, they upload their video, and then we have a host of individuals, everyone from Craig Newmark, the founder of Craigslist, to Steve Grove, the political director over at YouTube, to help identify 2 young people that can represent their community at the Democratic and Republican convention. So again, we try to take a twist on voter engagement, saying it's not enough for folks to register, but they really need to understand the process to become really engaged citizens.
I read a piece in one of the California newspapers about the attempts to register the Latino young vote in that state, and of course, as we know, California has a lot of Spanish-speaking or second-generation Spanish-speaking families, quite a number. That the issue is not so much to get them involved in the presidential election. That's not so difficult because of all the attention to it. But then after November, to keep them engaged in the political process where it really matters, local politics.
in the long term. Well, let me show some figures, and not to bore your audience, but in 2004, you saw an uptick of voter registration among Latino youth, but compared to their cohort of African Americans went to register and went to the polls by 43%. General whites went out by 44%, and Latino youth, unfortunately, went out by 20%. Now, the reason that's significant, that it's important to engage them, not just for this election, but as you said, throughout, is that you have 50,000 young people, Latinos turning 18 every month who are eligible voters. Of those 50,000, then you also have, of the 18 million Latinos that are eligible voters in the United States, exactly 50% of them are under 40. And what Voto Latino, our strategy is, we also recognize, and I think you alluded to it briefly, we also recognize that unlike, their counterparts, Latino youth have a really unique position in their household. They're what I like to call cultural ambassadors. They're telling their family, they're sharing with their family cultural norms, whether it comes to where do they should live, what kind of fish soap to buy, that kind of thing. So why not target them as well to be the cultural ambassadors of civic participation?
Sort of like the children teaching the parents well.
Exactly.
Now, immigration and illegal immigration is a hot-button topic, and because so many people find their way into the United States legally and otherwise from south of the border, it is presented to us as a Spanish-speaking issue more than anything else. And I was just wondering what your sense is. Mine is that the Latino population is not monolithic at all on any issue, much less this one.
You hit the nail on the head. And again, what we're finding is that immigration has definitely been something that motivates and galvanizes folks, but it's more as a catalyst for their political awakening. Let me give you a brief example. During the 2006 immigration rallies, New York, California, Florida, Illinois, and Texas had the largest uptick of folks marching on the streets when it came to the immigration rallies. However, fast forward to the midterm elections, which saw a peak in Latino turnout, and it was a midterm election, which is historical. However, what we